I'm going to show you guys how to make this dress. So if you look at it, you see that my fabric goes all the way to the end here. So this so I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do it here. So first thing is that you're going to go ahead and measure about, let's say, 5 inches at the top of your clothes, right? So let me go ahead and measure 5 inches. If you want, you can do 6, you can do 7, you can do 8. It depends on you what you want, but I don't want my flap to be too much, so 5 inches is okay for me. So let's say, okay, let me just say 5.5 and mark it, right? In the meantime, and just leave it there. So first of all, after marking this now, let me remove it. So after marking this, just forget about it. Then the next length you have to have here is just from your shoulder till the length you want the dress to be, plus your seam allowance. So you see, after this 5 inch I've just marked here, now the rest of the fabric here contains about 45. So it depends on you the length. This includes my seam allowance, so it depends on you the length you want your dress to be. So that will be the length of the rest of this now. So let me move it back up. So now all you have to do is go ahead and draft your basic bodice pattern. So your basic dress pattern, go ahead, go to your shoulder, divided by 2, so 8 for me. Come down here, mark 1 inch of shoulder slope. Come in here, marking your armhole length, which is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Mark it here, connect it here. And the width of this is just the widest part of your body plus 1 inch of seam allowance. So the widest part of my body is my hip, and that is 12. That's divided by 4 is going to be 12 plus extra 1 inch or 1.5, right? Depending on what you like to use for your seam allowance. After that, go ahead, mark your bust divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch of sewing. And then from there, I'm going to mark my shoulder to my waist, my shoulder to my hip, and then I'm going to go ahead and then insert my waist measurement divided by 4. So whatever that is for you, go ahead and mark it, and then plus 2 inches, 1 inch of that and 1 inch of seam allowance. Come down here, your waist, your hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch of seam allowance, right? So that is our basic dress bodice, right? So now you're going to go ahead and connect it just like that, from here all the way to this point, and then from here all the way to this point, right? And then you're going to give it a curve for your armhole like this. So now we are going to come back to the neckline. So for the neckline now, what we're going to do is that you're going to go ahead and mark your 3 inch of neck width, and then you're going to connect the shoulder slope together from here to this 1 inch. After that, the next thing you're going to do is that you're going to also mark this line straight up. So this 3 inch, I'm going to also mark the 3 inch at the top here also. And then I'm going to connect the 2 of them together. So now all I have to do is to go ahead and cut all this out. And remember, you're still going to be adding your dart here, but I'm going to be adding it on the inside. So I'm going to cut this, cut from here down, shoulder slope all the way out. I'm not focusing on the bottom of the dress because it's just a simple bodice all the way down. All our focus is mostly at the top, at least for now. So that's why I keep showing these parts, right? So that I don't focus on showing everything and then miss out some. So let's focus on this upper part now. So you see, so you're going to mark, we came down 5 inches and mark 3 inches distance, right? So now all I have to do now is to remove my pin. And then the next thing is that you're going to open this up. In the meantime, let me also notch this corner of my neckline. This corner here, where this part here meets the shoulder. Let me just notch it. So after that now, the next thing is going to be to open this up like this. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and rule a line from this point here to this tip, to the tip of this shoulder here, from here to here. So let me go ahead and mark it in form of an angle. You see what I did? So mark from here to here. So once you mark it, now you can go ahead and cut it off. What I'm going to do is I would like to use 8.5. So try to do it on the same line where this angle is. Don't do it on this side. Do it on this side with the same line. So continue this line now all the way down here. You see? So for me, I decided to go all the way from my shoulder to 8.5 is what I said I would do. So this here is where I'm going to mark mine. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is in the meantime. And then I'm going to also go ahead and cut out a fabric that is going to go all the way up here. This is going to be as the facing, but you have to do it with the same fabric. Like, except you want, because the fabric that I'm going to put now is going to be the one that will fall on top of this. So if I want, I can stick to this akara that I decided to use for the side and the sleeve, right? So if I want, I can use it for the inner part of this. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I don't have enough of this blue. But this blue is what you're going to use, not even your lining, right? Because this color, whatever color you decide to use now, is what will turn up on the inside of our on the inside of this collar when you turn it over, if that makes sense. So now I've also gone ahead and marked this my dart. So how I did it was just from my center line here, I moved away 4 inches, which is the 4 inches is for my nipple to nipple measurement, right? Your bust point divided by 2. So marked it here, all the way, ruled this a straight line from my shoulder to my bust point, which is at 12, but I stopped at 13. My dart here stopped at 13. Then I marked my waist at 17, and then 2 inches before my hip line, which is at 25, right? My hip line is at 27. The same on this side. So pinch it half an inch here, narrow it all the way to a point here, narrow it all the way to a point here, right? So now let me go ahead and trace out this fabric first. See, I've pinned everything down and then I rolled the line back again. So let me show you what I did here. This is the right side of my akara. Guys, if you want, you can also go ahead and iron in the stay at the top of this here, so it's a little bit stiff, especially this angle here, right? But I'm not going to do that because my fabric, I feel like it's thick enough and I don't want to add anything. And like I said, you're going to rule that line here. So if you look at my own, you will see that I've picked my dart. You see my dart, this is my dart here, and then I rule back that line again, right? And then you see when this is the right side of this is the front of my cloth, this is the front of my akara. If you see, this part is darker, this is the wrong side, so the right side are facing each other. So now all I have to do is just to go ahead and sew it. So how I'm going to sew it is that I'm going to go down here by like very close to this center line, go ahead and sew it all the way, come down here, and then cross over, go back again up like this. I'm going to sew into this, next to this line, cross over, go up, and then go up all the way to the top of this here, come back down like this, using 1/4 of an inch, right? That is what I'm going to do now. So let me go ahead and sew it all the way like this, and then when I come back, we're going to split it open. If you want, you can even double stitch all your stitch so that it doesn't come loose. And I'm also going to trim off these parts too. You will see my stitch going back up and coming back here again. The space I have in between here is because I'm trying not to make it too tiny and then it will start coming off. So you see my stitch going up all the way to the tip of this here, and then it came down like this. So this is what it looks like now. So all I have to do is just to go ahead now. I'm going to cut in between this and split it open. So guys, this is it here. You see, I've split it open. So all I have to do next is just to go ahead now. I'm going to remove all the pins from mine. Once I remove the pin, I'm going to turn it over. So you see, you also have to cut off any excess at the end here so that this part is not bulky when you turn it over. So once that is done, remove all the pin and flip everything out. Panel is looking like now. You see, I've turned this over, I ironed it. So this is it. You see the pointy part, this is what it looks like. So let me turn it so you see the wrong side. You see, this is what it looks like on the wrong side now. So all I have to do, you see, I still have my shoulder, I still have everything together here. So you just have to pull this side towards this direction, and then you will have exactly the flap, right? If I used blue fabric on the inside, I would have had blue also facing here. But like I said, I don't have enough blue fabric to do that now. So now the next thing is going to be to cut the back panel. So our back panel is basically just a basic bodice back panel, right? But in form of a dress. So now the length of our back panel will be from our shoulder till the end. Our back panel will not have that extra 5 inches we did before. Our back panel will just be the shoulder here till the end of the dress. Guys, this is our back panel. Our back panel is the same weight as the front panel, except it has like 1.5 for our zipper here. So the width here in total is my hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch. My hip is 12. My hip is 48 divided by 4 is 12 plus 1 inch is 13, and then after that you will see the white line, which is my zipper allowance. So that's the width. So we'll go up here now and draft a basic bodice. So from all the measurement I'm inserting is going to start after this white line. So first thing is my shoulder divided by 2, 8. Come down 1 inch of shoulder slope, marking my armhole like I told you before. Connect it all the way to the top. Insert my bust divided by 4. Insert my seam allowance. Mark my shoulder to my waist. Shoulder to hip. And then mark my waist divided by 4. Add 2 inches of seam, 1 inch of seam allowance, 1 inch of that, and that's 2 inches. Come down to the hip, my hip divided by 4, and then plus 1 inch. So go ahead, connect from my waist to my my hip to my waist, and then from my waist to my bust. Go ahead and cut it out. Connect it like this. So I'm going to go ahead, connect it, mark my neckline of 3 inches here, connect the shoulder slope like this, and then 1 inch of neck depth is what we'll have for the back. Remember, this is our back panel. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and also insert my dart like I told you before how I did in front, except this time my dart at the back is going to be from my waist, the same 4 inches in, but then from my waist to 2 inches before my hip line, and then exactly on the chest line, which is this line here. So my dart is going to look something like this all the way to the, from here to here, but it's going to stop 2 inches before the hip line here, and then half an inch here, pick the darts like this all the way to this point. So now all I have to do is to go ahead, cut out this 1 inch of neck depth, cut this out, cut out the waist, and then split open the back. Guys, this is the back here. I've already gone ahead and drawn in my darts like I was explaining. So this is the wrong side. That's why you're seeing my darts here. This side, half an inch on this other side. Narrow it down to this point. Narrow it down to this point. The same on the two of them. But in the meantime, I also want to draft out my, because we are going to need facing for this. It's not that you cannot use bias, but facing will give you a cleaner finish. So what I'm going to do is this neckline here now. So guys, this is what it looks like now. So you see, I cut 2 of them, 1 for each side, you see. So I'm going to just use it here. I'm just going to sew the neckline. So I'm just going to sew it all the way like this, just from here to this point, not into the shoulder, just from here all the way to the point here. So guys, you see, we are done. I've gone ahead and joined it like I told you. Just join this center piece here, you see. And then now when you're done, flip it inside and iron it. And the next thing is going to be to join the front to it. So to join the front to it, all I have to do is just to take one shoulder, make sure to place it, and I've also picked my dart, so I'm just going to face it right side facing each other. You see the right side of this and the right side of this facing each other like this, and then I'm going to start with this shoulder here, so you guys will see how you're going to join it. So just take it the way it is like this. You see that after if you notched it like I did, you're going to have some small piece here by this here, like this tiny piece here going into the shoulder like this. So what you're going to do is that you're going to take it, place it shoulder to shoulder. This is the shoulder part, right? Shoulder to shoulder, and then turn over this piece of facing, turn it over like this on top of it, and use it to sew this down. Once you sew it down, turn it over. You understand? So guys, this is it here. You see, I still have to iron it down with the stay, so I'm going to iron it down later, but in the meantime I'm going to go ahead and cut my sleeve. So you see, I've joined the shoulders together. You see, then the length I have here is about 10 inches, and just our basic sleeve, I'm going to just come down here by 4 inches, which is somewhere here. The width I have here is my armhole divided by 2 plus 1. So that's the width from here to here. The length is 10 inches. That's including my seam allowance. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark a straight line from this point to here. Halfway through it, mark it, connect it here, connect it down here. And then insert my sleeve width, whatever that is for you, divided by 2, sorry, your arm width, right? And then you're going to go ahead and add 1 inch of sewing it, connect it to this point. So I'm going to cut this out and join it together. So if you look at it, you see this is the neckline here. I've finished it up, added my dart. It's just looking like an ordinary pencil dress. This is the back here with the zipper here. That one is done also. Added my 2 darts at the back, finished it. Remember, we just cut it straight down. We didn't pencil it at the end. So now the next step is just to go ahead, fold it into 2, and then we are going to cut it from here now. So to cut it, what we are going to do is that the way it's folded now, I'm going to go ahead, take my tape, and I'm going to measure from my shoulder to my waist, which is at 17.5, which is somewhere here. And then after that, 17.5, which is here, you see, I've marked it 17.5. The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to come down 2 inches from that point, right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is, you see the leg of my dart here. You can see my dart on this line here, which is just your bust point divided by 2, which is how you got it to move to this point. I'm just going to extend the leg of this dart all the way to the end like that. You see, just rule the line coming from my dart all the way to the end. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now connect from this angle that I just made now. After coming down 2 inches, I'm just going to connect from that point and then blend it into the leg of this dart like this and cut it out. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So you see, I first marked my waist, came down 2 inches from my waist, and then extended my dart. You see my dart here, you can see it here. And then I extended that dart all the way down. And then the next thing I just did was connect from that point or after my waist into that line all the way down again. So now all you have to do is to just cut, pin it down before you start to cut. So I'm going to hold mine, make sure it's pinned down, and you have to iron it before anything. This one here. So you see, I took it out from the side of the dress itself. So now, if I open up this dress now, this is what I have left. So it's going to look something like this. You see? This is what I have left. So now we are going to use this piece here that we cut out to trace what we are going to use for the side. So all I have to do is to first of all take away the main dress, put it aside, and then I'm going to bring out what I intend on using for the side, which is this here. If you want, you can make yours more wider, but because my own is an Akara fabric, the last time I made it, I used a lot of fabric and I didn't like how puffy it was on the side. So this time around, I decided to make it smaller. So this is what I have here. The weight I have is about, if you're working with like crepe or like fabric that doesn't have weight, then you can, if you want, don't make it too much. So this is what I have. If you want with a lighter fabric, you can always make it wider, right? So I have about 18 inches for the 2 of them. So let me show you what I'm doing here. So the first thing is that I'm going to take this here, and you notice that the fabric is on a fold. Let me open it so you see. It's folded it's folded once first, and then folded twice, because I'm going to be using one. This one is for the front. Sorry, this one is for one side, this one is for one side. So it's 2 pieces of that I'm cutting here. I'm just going to split it on this side, but in the meantime, let's cut it first. So I'm going to fold it again. So now it's folded in 4, right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is just take one piece of this, the way it is like this. I'm going to go ahead and just, even one piece of this is okay for you to be able to trace it. Like if I split it open now, the way it is, still making sure that the fold is still there, I can always just go ahead and label it as 1, 2, and 3. And then rule like straight lines all the way up, and then split it into 3, just like that, right? And then I'm going to make sure that my one is at the end with the fold. When I mean the end with the fold, it's like this side with all the fold. So I'm going to place the first one at the end here, place the second one next to it, and then the third one at the very end also, just like this, making sure that everything is brought towards the end of the cloth, right? This is what I'm saying here. Now all I have to do is just to take my chalk, and then from this end here, I'm going to just keep connecting it like this. Connect it all the way to this part here, and then from here I'm going to connect it all the way to the very top, just like this. You see, this is it here. So now all I have to do is just to cut from here all the way out. You see, so I'm just going to take it here. So guys, if you see, I didn't cut exactly at the end here, and I've not said anything about seam allowances since, but on this one here I gave it half an inch at the top here. So you see where the tip of my fabric stopped, but I added like half an inch there. You understand? So now I made sure that I didn't say anything about seam allowance when I was cutting on the blue, but now that I'm cutting here, I tried to just add just half an inch of seam allowance just at the top, and then I notched this center here. Like I told you that I was going to split it open, so now I'm splitting it open. So now let's bring back our dress again. This is the dress here. Alright, I'm just going to take one for each side. See, let me open it here. So you see, one, remove the other one here, take the second one here. So one here is going to be gathered into this side here, is going to be gathered into the other side, just like this. Let me tell you how to do this here. You're not going to, you see all this part with the curve here, you're not going to gather it. The only part you will gather on this thing here is that you're going to gather after the, once you come up from after the curve, that's when you will start to now gather all this part here. That is where you will gather to fix into this point. But you see all this sharp bend here, you're sewing it straight. You understand? Because if you gather it, that's when you start to have that pokiness here. So just leave it straight, coming up all the way, and then gather the tip at this part here, all the way. You see? So I'm going to just take it now. How I like to do mine is I like to start at the bottom part here, and then I'll sew it coming up all the way, sew it straight all the way. And then once I get halfway through, I'll start to gather everything in between till I get to my notch, which is supposed to meet the side seam. And then the rest of it, I'll go back again, start from the end. As long as you make sure that the length of your, what you cut out is the same length, you make sure that when you were tracing it, everything touched the hemline, then you can start from the end. But if you're not sure, please start from the upper parts. So guys, this is it here. As you can see, I've finished everything here. So you see, just like I was telling you, you have to gather it at the top, sew it straight here. Also on this other side, so you see everything in neck. But that's basically, this is what the back looks like. You see, this is the back here. So just like this with zip at the back. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.